Hello, I'm Jason. I'm an engineer on the DevTools team, and in this video, we're going to take a look at a new feature we've been working on called Event Listeners. And now, we've already started the Event Listeners feature. In fact, our contributor, Brandon, started working on it and did a really good job. So here's Event Listeners, and the basic idea is that Event Listeners are going to show you all of the event handlers in your application. And then if you want to add a breakpoint or see one, you can do that in this panel. And Chrome has something somewhat similar. In their sources pane, you can go to event listeners and see all the global possibilities. And maybe you can break on copy or cut. So ours is a little bit different. At this point, we're just shooting to show you all of the existing handlers, not all the possible events. But still useful. And what we're going to do right now is just wire up these links so that when you click on a link, it takes you to where that event handler is defined. So I believe I have a branch open, just calling this listen here, which has Brandon's work for showing the list. And there's nothing here, which is great. So we've got a fresh palette. First thing I'm going to do is jump to the event listeners component and just take a look. So this is a connected component, which means that the component gets the listener state from the Redux store. And this is a functional component, so we don't have a React class or anything. We literally connect this event listeners function to the data, and that's what we're using. And event listeners will get an array of listeners and render a top-level pane for event listeners, and then render each event listener here, and render listener and pass in the listener. We also have select source, which is great because we're going to need that to actually make the link work. Select source is the action that will when given a source ID and a location, go and view that source. So where should we start? I think what I want to do right now is see what data we have in the store for each listener, see what's possible. So I'm going to go back to the app, and we have this global, which is really useful for development, app store, and we can just get all of the state in the app. I mean, it has everything. All the breakpoints, pause data, sources. So like, for instance, I can take a look at sources. It's like, oh yeah, you've got jQuery somewhere in here, right? You got jQuery right here. So it has all the data. And in this case, I want to see what's in event listeners. So opening that up, I see that there's 7 listeners. That's good. And each listener has a selector, a type, and it also has a source ID, which is really nice, and a line number. And that's all we need to go and show that source in the editor. So let's go back here, and I've got this render listener function, which takes select source, which is what we're going to want, and I can add an on-click handler. Now all I have to do is call select source with the source ID that is associated with the listener's source, and the location, or sorry, line I want to go to. I guess the only problem right now is that these variables aren't defined, but we just saw that they are in a listener. Listeners have a line and they have a source ID, so we can pass them in. This whole thing, I believe, is a listener, and we just happen to be destructuring it. All right. So select source takes the source ID in a line. Let's see if that works. And we need a comma. Save. So we got these event listeners. I'm going to just click on one. And voila, we're now at the event handler for to-do. That's it. I guess the app we're debugging right here, it's not obvious, is to-do MVC, and to-do MVC uses jQuery. And jQuery has one global event handler, and that's going to be on jQuery line 4355. Oops, I got lots of spurious breakpoints in my debugger, so that's not a surprise that just fired. And yeah, I think we got it. These things are all now linked up. Well, I'm going to end it there, and in the next video, we're going to add another feature to event listeners, I think. Because why not? They're fun.